Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well. It's not a very nice weather day here. It's one of those grey, miserable days. But it doesn't matter what the weather is. I've got two boys that still want to go out for their walk. So after this video, we're out for a walk, and then I've got the food shopping to do, and then I thought I was going to start on my Christmas decorations. We shall see. This evening I actually want to finish my current project. I'm going to show you. This sampler has come together so well. Isn't she pretty? I worked down, then across the bottom, and I finished this motif last night, and my border met up first time. And then I started this motif, and I've stitched all the stems, but I sort of ran out of time putting the flower heads on, so there's two more flower heads to go on. Then there's a repeat of this motif this side, and I've got to stitch the word heart in over one. And I'm going to switch down to Soie Saphine to stitch the word heart, because this is 56 count, and the fineness of the Soie Saphine makes it a lot easier to place those really tiny little over one stitches. It's always a really good idea that you think about the thickness of the thread that you're using on the count of fabric that you're using. I had an email in the week about when you stitch on high count, it's easy to lose the definition of the stitch. But what's really important is that you use the right thickness or fineness of thread for the count of linen that you're using. And that's one of the reasons that I really love the Auvera Soie range of silks, because you have the Soie d'Alger, which is perfect for stitching right up to 46 count on, so you could use 2 strands on 28 or 32 count fabric, then you go to 1 strand on 36, 40, 46. The Soie 103 I like to use from 46 count upwards, but lots of people like cross stitching with it on 40 count. And with the Soie Saphine, I think that's a lovely thread to use on 56 count or 52, 62 count. It all comes down to personal preference and the type of stitch that you are going to lay. And for cross stitch over one on 56 count, the Soie Saphine works best. Now, with this sampler, this is entirely cross stitch over 2, except for the word heart. And I'm always very conscious that not everybody wants to stitch on linen, or because of eyesight are not able to stitch on linen. I know a lot of needleworkers who their eyesight has deteriorated and they've gone back to stitching on Aida. So we like to make our designs Aida friendly where it is possible to do so. It's not always possible, but where it is, we like to. And I've been thinking about how an Aida stitcher could stitch this, and there is no room to stitch the word heart over 2 threads, but you could stitch a little heart. A heart, you could stitch that in maybe just 5 stitches wide. And I was thinking, rather than squidge the word in heart here, you could actually stitch a little heart. So this sampler is one that Aida stitchers will be able to add to their sampler wall if they want to, and it really is a beautiful sampler. Now, I touched on this sampler last week when I did the video with Sue and Elizabeth, and Mary Wigglesworth was 58 years of age when she stitched this sampler, and I think for a 58-year-old lady to stitch a schoolgirl sampler Mary most probably was a teacher, and she taught needlework, and she was stitching her sampler to use as a stitching aid in the classroom. And you know, widows, teaching was an occupation that was open to them. You know, in 1812 there was not a lot that widows of a certain class could do to provide themselves with an income to live. But you know, teaching was something that you could do. A lot of widows opened up dame schools in their home where they sort of taught very, very young children. But there was also widows who opened like academies for young ladies, and it could be possible that Mary Wigglesworth taught in one of those academies, or actually had some young girls come to her to learn how to stitch, how to read, you know, the basic education that children had at that time. She may have been a governess, but I have a very strong feeling from my initial family history research that she wasn't a governess, but I'm having an open mind until I finish my research. I've had so many inquiries about this linen. It's beautiful, really, really beautiful, this linen. This is from Tabby Cat Linen, and Tabby Cat Linen is sold on Mill on the Floss Samplers website. Michelle, who is Mill on the Floss, is also Tabby Cat Linen. And you can buy this linen on her website, but stores are now starting to stock this linen. Jean at the Attic is stocking this linen. Janice at Traditional Stitches will be stocking this linen, and Kathy and David at Hobby House Needleworks will be stocking Tabby Cat linen as well. I'm sure there are other stores, and but I just don't know about them. Really beautiful. So pleased with this sampler, and I've had a lot of pleasure working on her. Now, another sampler that I think is a sampler that was stitched by a more sort of mature person is this one. Isn't that pretty? Very, very sweet sampler. And look at the back of this sampler, how beautifully it has been stitched. Now, it's not reversible because you can see thread carry at the back, but you know, the neatest thread carry that you could imagine. This is such a neatly stitched sampler, and it tells us, keep your work clean and pay attention to it. And it says Mrs. Campbell in Oban, June 3rd, 1805. And I do think that if a little girl had stitched this, that we would see some initials, not initials, we would see her name. We have some initials across the bottom, and this is a Scottish sample. Oban is in Scotland, and because of the C on the end of the initials, I think that's probably Mrs. Campbell's family, and I think Mrs. Campbell was probably a needlework teacher as well. This one we have to reproduce. It is delightful, and that border is going to look really wonderful stitched up. And well, just all of it's going to look really, really wonderful. That might be my next project, we shall see. Okay, so that's all about needlework teachers. I've got so much to talk about, I don't know where to start today, but I think I'm going to start with Eliza Nisbet. This is the model for Eliza Nisbet. And those are this is a Scottish sample which runs on from Mrs. Campbell's sampler, and also these colours are so Christmassy. I'm actually putting up a small tree this year because we're going up to see our family rather than our family come down to us. And I just thought, rather than put up the really big trees, I'm going to put one small tree up. And I'm actually going to put the little tree on a sideboard where this sampler will actually be to the side of it. And I just thought that just happened to work out really nicely because these are such beautiful Christmas colours. Anyway, I'm digressing from the point I'm working my way towards making. This is the original Eliza Nisbet, and this was the prize for the stitch along draw for Anne Morrison, and Janice at Traditional Stitches made the draw this week, and Jennifer in New South Wales, Australia has won Eliza. So one of my jobs this weekend is to pack Eliza up so that she can be on her way Monday to Australia. I think it's lovely that somebody in New South Wales, where Sandra, a fellow reproductionist with hats, actually lives. I know that Sandra was thrilled that somebody in New South Wales had won this sampler. With stitch-alongs and the prize at the end of it, somebody has to win it, and you never know, that person could be you. A stitch-along is such a wonderful way to join in and stitch something. Not only is there a prize at the end of it for somebody, everybody's the winner who completes their sampler. And in a stitch along, you share the experience with other needleworkers. We all learn from each other. And I know that Jennifer, she was thrilled to complete her Anne Morrison, and she was helped greatly by the lady who shared the stitch path diagrams that her husband had done for travelling around all the Algerian islets. I think if you belong to a stitch along and participate, you will not only put into that stitch along, but you will take a lot out of it as well. Now, with Anne Morrison, the stitch along, that was set up by Traditional Stitches because Anne Morrison was a limited edition exclusive release for Traditional Stitches, celebrating their 20th anniversary of being in business. Now, I was due to be teaching a workshop at Traditional Stitches this October, but because of COVID, that just could not happen. So we agreed with Traditional Stitches that rather than the workshop, that we would make another sampler available exclusively for Traditional Stitches. And that sampler is the beautiful Esther Blackwood. And Esther is a Canadian sampler that was stitched in Quebec in 1853, and we have found the girl Esther who stitched this sampler. So this is a project in lieu of the workshop that I was going to teach, and I suppose really, a workshop, there's a limited number of people that can attend, but with a stitch along, the whole world can attend and participate in the stitch along. We will be having another giveaway at the end of this stitch along for a sampler, and I've had a big tidy up because I'm going to put my Christmas decorations up, so I haven't got that sampler to show you, but I will insert a photograph in this video of the sampler that will be the giveaway prize at the end of the stitch along for Esther Blackwood. Esther's stitch along officially starts on Boxing Day, which is December the 26th. Janice thought it would be nice to start that date because that is our a sort of anniversary for Hands Across the Sea samplers. So it's always a special day for us. So the stitch along will start on that day, and we will also be having a very special release on that day as well. Esther Blackwood, her chart is only available from Traditional Stitches. She is limited edition. So many people were disappointed with Anne Morrison that they didn't manage to secure a copy. So if you would like a copy of Esther's booklet before she runs out, go along to Traditional Stitches website and order your copy. Now, I know that it's very difficult to post things around the world at the moment because of COVID, but if you live outside of Canada and America, so if you live in Europe or the Southern Hemisphere or Asia or Russia, you can buy this booklet from Traditional Stitches in Canada, but it will be shipped from the UK. It seems that the UK is quite lucky that we can still ship around the world. So don't be put off thinking, I live in Australia, I can't buy a chart from Canada because the post isn't running. This will come from the UK, and our post to Australia tends to take a minimum of 2 weeks. It can take a little bit longer, but it is possible to receive things within about 2 to 3 weeks from the UK. So if you want to participate, now's the time to order your chart so that you can join in with the stitch along. I was playing with colours this week, and I pulled the colours for Esther. I'm just trying to work out how I can hold these up to the camera. For Esther's sampler from the DMC colours. And let me just, I have got a photograph I could show you of these. Let me just see if I can use this to, this is not easy. How am I going to do this and hold it up to the screen? Let's try this way. Yeah, I didn't give this any thought, did I? Those are the DMC colours for, for Esther. I'm getting in the way of the light here. Beautiful. I've also got some photographs of the silks as well. Let me hold them up like this. Beautiful colours. There are some really lovely geometric designs in Esther, motifs that you don't see very often in samplers. I'm just going to show you some close-ups of those. Isn't she a beautiful sampler? I do hope that you're able to join the stitch along. Esther's a lovely sampler, and I'm so looking forward to seeing people's progress throughout 2022 as they stitch her. I used a book to put those threads on to show you in the end, and that book was one of the Feather Collection books. The Feather Collection is catalogued in 2 beautiful books. Now these books aren't easy to come by. I'm fortunate that I bought mine a very long time ago. These books, they have been so well used. I have pored over the pages of these books for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Last year I was contacted and asked if I would like to acquire some samplers from the Feather Collection. So last year, in between lockdowns, I went up and spent some time with Elizabeth and Michael. Whenever you visit their home, they are so hospitable. And my husband came with me, and I was a very lucky person. I walked away with several samplers from their collection that my husband treated me to. Now, I am not sure if I will reproduce all those samplers, but I believe that samplers are there to be enjoyed by all. So I will try my best to reproduce those samplers over the next few years. The first one has been reproduced and it's been stitched, and we are just waiting for the booklets to arrive from the printers. We have been waiting a little while for these booklets to arrive, but she will be worth it. She will be worth the wait. If the booklets arrive this week, we will be releasing this beautiful sampler from the Fella collection. Can you imagine going to the Fella collection and being able to choose a sampler? It was just like, you know, being in a sweet shop, a candy store. It was just overwhelming. And I did think long and hard about which samplers that I would like to add to my collection. Of course, the sampler would have been the one on the front cover, but that wasn't available. I'm really, really pleased with the samplers that I added to my collection, and so thrilled to be able to share the first one with you, hopefully in the forthcoming week. We will have a little fun release during the forthcoming week, no matter what happens. So it might be one fun one, or it might be two, and the second one be the first from the Fella collection. We shall see. Keep an eye out on our social media for those releases. Gosh, this week in the post there were so many lovely little treats. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart my UK needlework friend who made this beautiful emery strawberry. I love these strawberries and I've now got quite a few, and I'm just delighted to add this one to my collection. So you know who you are. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so what else came this week? Well, another pair of Kohana scissors. Oh, I do like these scissors. I really, really like using these scissors. So these are the ones I have at the moment, and I do plan to collect the limited edition colours as they come out. There was a couple of comments made on social media about why these scissors. Well, I've got scissors that cost a couple of pounds. I've got scissors that cost quite a lot of money. The really, really expensive ones I keep for special occasions. They're just so fine and so delicate. I would be really afraid to be using them every day. Where I sit to stitch, we actually have a stone floor because it's the room the dogs are allowed to be in all the time, and I have this awful habit of having the scissors on my lap, even though I say to myself, don't put your scissors on your lap. And then when I stand up, they fall and they hit the stone floor. So I would never use my French scissors for everyday use. I use them for special occasions. But you still need a really good pair of scissors to use when you're stitching. When you snip your threads off, scissors are, you can have a really sharp pair of scissors, which means they cut through the thread easily. But what's really, really important when you are embroidering or cross-stitching or any sort of form of work where you are being very discerning about your work, you want to be able to snip your thread off as close as possible to the surface of your linen. Now, the finer the tips of those scissors, the closer you can cut the thread off to your linen. So we're not only talking about scissors that are very sharp, we're talking about scissors that have a very, very fine tip. And that is why I really like these scissors. They are robust. They're scissors that you can use every day. They are sharp and they have the fine tip. And then of course you have the fun of these beautiful handles and all the colours. I love colour. Colour plays a very important part in my life. Colour excites me, and just to have lovely fun colours on my scissors, I get a lot of enjoyment out of that. I can't wear high heel shoes, and you know, I spend most of my time with my dogs. I can't wear lovely handbags when I'm walking my dogs, so needlework is where I get my sort of my treats from, little pretties, and I'm so pleased with these Kohana scissors. Now, Kohana have a lot of other lovely products as well. I don't have any of them, but they are very tempting, and I know that you know, there aren't that many stores in the US that are stocking Kohana. We're lucky in the UK, we have a few stores, and I haven't really looked at stores around the rest of the world, but I do know that in the States that Hobby House Needleworks carry a lot of their products. And some news, the Attic Needleworks are now carrying Kohana products, and I know that Jean has got some really beautiful sort of like little collection sets in, so it'd be well worth having or giving the Attic a ring and asking them, you know, what Kohana products they got in stock, and hopefully in Jean's next newsletter she will show all the different sets of Kohana products that she has. They are, honestly, some of the products are really, really beautiful. I'm so tempted by the little wooden sewing boxes with the little cross-stitch tops. Oh, they're so beautiful. But I'm going to be sticking to the scissors. This week, talking about sewing boxes, I nearly died and went to heaven when I opened a present that came in the post. And this is a Christmas present, and I am so blown away by the person who sent this to me, and the thought and kindness behind it. This is a Suffolk Shaker box, and look at the lid on that. Isn't that beautiful? That wood is gorgeous, and so perfect for my home. We have a lot of wood in this house, and you know, we've got beautiful wooden floors and, you know, wooden furniture, and this is going to look really, really beautiful. The smell of the wood is divine, and it has this lovely sewing tray inside, and that's what the inside of the box looks like, and the smell of the wood is just amazing. This is such a kind gift, so generous, and I was just totally blown away by this. I've admired these boxes for so long, but I've always thought, oh gosh, with the money for this I could buy a sampler. Now, I believe that this was sourced from Hobby House Needleworks. Hobby House Needleworks, they carry a nice range of different boxes on their website. Gosh, this is just so beautiful, and I feel so blessed to have this, and I'm looking forward to filling this with some really lovely needlework items and using the box. Okay, so what else have I got here? Jane Jackson is off on her travels. She's going to the Attic Needleworks to go on display. So, you know, if you're in Arizona and you go to the Attic Needleworks, please stop and have a look at Jane Jackson. This is the most amazing sampler. Beautiful, beautiful colours. Last week we released God Save the Queen, Annie Bayliss, and I showed this in last week's video, and when I went to carry on stitching my God Save the Queen, I can't find it. I brought it back from Sue's and I don't know where I've put it. This week I've been doing a lot of sorting out. I've had a spring clean, and I've tidied up a lot of things, and I think I've accidentally put it away with something else, so I'm going to have another good look through what I've tidied up to find it. So there's the original God Save the Queen. This is our model, which was stitched by Boomer, and Boomer stitching is always very, very beautiful. You have cross stitch over 1 and 2 and single running stitch, which has been used by Annie to create these really lovely little darning patterns throughout the sampler. It's fun to have a little red primer that you actually have some different types of stitches in. I think that's, you know, it sort of switches it up a little bit. Now, this sampler, if you wanted to stitch it on Aida, or if you didn't want to stitch over 1, you could stitch it over 2 and 4 threads. I had a little play with that, and that does actually work really, really well. Annie stitched her sampler to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria. I'm stitching my Annie to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. I have so much respect for our Queen. She's a lady who I really, really admire. She's always been present in my life. She's sort of like the rock of our country, and bless her, she's had such a horrible year with everything that's gone on, you know, losing her husband and all the worry that she's had to cope with through various family issues this year has not been very, very nice. I'll never forget how frail she looked when she got out of the car to go into the chapel for her husband's funeral, and how she looked when she was sat there all by herself because of the COVID restrictions. I'm stitching my Annie with so much love, respect and admiration for our Queen, and I hope to have Annie finished to hang on my sampler wall on the day of her Platinum Jubilee. The UK have got so many things planned next year to celebrate our Queen's Platinum Jubilee. I wonder if we will ever see a Platinum Jubilee again. Our Queen, she became Queen at a very young age, and she's lived a very long life. That might not happen in future generations, so this might just be a one-off, never to be seen again. Well, certainly not in my lifetime anyway, but you know, in future generations they may not see a monarch celebrating a Platinum Jubilee. Anyway, that's my little way of commemorating our Queen's years of service. Is there anything else? No. Oh, there is one thing. This has come in the post. It arrived in the post yesterday, and this is the Cross Stitch Guild, where's my glasses, latest issue of their magazine. It is crammed full of some wonderful goodies. Look at that beautiful sampler. Lots of lovely, lovely articles, lots and lots of goodies to stitch. And you don't have to live in the UK to be a member of the Cross Stitch Guild in the UK. I am looking forward to attending one of their retreats next year and getting together with other UK stitchers. If you're not a member, go onto the Cross Stitch Guild website and have a look. I think the membership is fantastic value for money. You know, you will get a lot out of membership of the Cross Stitch Guild. I'm looking forward to going through this book and enjoying it next week, and I shall read that from front to back cover. Okay, I do think that is it now. Dog walk and Christmas decorations and a supermarket shop. That's a lot to do in one day. Anyway, until next weekend, stay safe, stay well. Bye.